Nathan woke up to the sound of glass breaking. His mind was groggy, still caught between sleep and waking, but the sharp noise pulled him upright in bed. His bedroom was dark except for the faint orange glow of the street lamp outside, casting long shadows through the half-open blinds. He sat still, listening, heart thudding against his ribs. The silence stretched, thick and heavy. Maybe it was a dream. He swung his legs over the bed, the cool wooden floor sending a shiver up his spine. The air smelled normal, no hint of smoke, no strange scents. Still, his gut told him something was off. He stepped carefully into the hallway, flicking the light switch. A dim, yellow glow spilled over the hardwood floors, revealing the small apartment he had lived in for the past 3 years. Nothing seemed out of place. His first thought was the bathroom mirror. The apartment was old, and sometimes the moisture from the shower made the cheap adhesive on the mirror's edges loosen. Maybe it had fallen, but as he turned the corner, his stomach dropped. Every mirror in his apartment was shattered. The bathroom mirror, the hallway mirror near the coat rack, even the small decorative one above the bookshelf, all broken, jagged shards scattered across the floor. His breath hitched as he took a step forward, glass crunching under his bare feet. His pulse pounded in his ears. Someone had been inside. He checked the front door, locked, the windows closed, no sign of forced entry. His phone sat untouched on the nightstand, still charging. He reached for it anyway, his fingers unsteady as he dialed 911. Before he pressed call, something caught his eye. The full-length mirror in his bedroom. It was untouched, the only one that hadn't shattered. A cold sensation crawled up his spine. He had passed by it on his way out of the room, but he hadn't looked at it. He turned back toward the bedroom, heart hammering against his ribs. The mirror stood tall against the far wall, reflecting the dim light from the hallway. His own face stared back at him, eyes wide, breath uneven, and then his reflection blinked. Nathan hadn't. His chest tightened as he watched himself, or what looked like himself, tilt his head ever so slightly, just a fraction of a second too late. His mouth felt dry as he took an involuntary step closer. His reflection didn't move right away. It stayed perfectly still for a heartbeat longer than it should have before matching his movement. A deep unease settled in his stomach. He lifted a hand, fingers trembling. His reflection copied him. Slowly, too slowly. Then, for just a split second, it smirked. Nathan stumbled back, a sharp breath catching in his throat. His reflection didn't. It stayed still, head tilted, watching him. The smirk disappeared as quickly as it had come, replaced by an expression of perfect, unsettling neutrality. He turned away, breaking eye contact, forcing himself to breathe. This wasn't real. He was exhausted. Maybe he had gotten up in his sleep, broken the mirrors himself. Maybe the floorboard behind him creaked. His body went rigid. The air in the room was thick, heavy, pressing against his skin. He didn't want to turn round. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to leave the apartment, to never look back, but his feet refused to move. Slowly, he turned his head. His reflection was still in the mirror, standing exactly where it should be, but the hallway behind it, the one that should have been empty, wasn't. Someone else was standing there. The figure was shadowy, featureless, taller than him by at least a foot. It loomed behind his reflection, its head tilted at the same eerie angle, its long fingers resting just above his mirrored shoulder. The breath left Nathan's lungs in a sharp, panicked gasp, but when he turned around, nothing. The hallway was empty. His skin prickled as he turned back to the mirror. The figure was still there, still watching. His reflection stood frozen, eyes wide, mirroring his terror, but the figure's fingers had moved. They now rested lightly on his reflection's shoulder. Nathan's hand shook. He reached out, hesitantly, towards the mirror. His fingers stopped just short of the glass. Cold radiated from it, and natural and biting. His reflection did the same, mirroring him perfectly again. The shadow remained behind it, fingers tightening. Then his reflection whispered. He didn't hear it, not with his ears, but he felt it, a vibration in the air, in his bones. A soundless, shapeless warning. His lips didn't move, but he knew what it had said. Run! Nathan didn't hesitate. He bolted from the bedroom, heart slamming against his ribs, feet slipping on the floor as he grabbed his keys and yanked the door open. The hallway outside his apartment was empty. He didn't stop to think. He didn't look back. He ran down the stairs, out into the cold night air, gasping, chest heaving. His car was parked on the street. He jumped inside, locked the doors, and only then did he dare to breathe. His hands clenched the steering wheel, knuckles white. His mind raced. The rational part of him screamed that this was exhaustion, stress, lack of sleep. But the other part, the one that had seen what he had seen, knew better. He wasn't going back inside. Not now. Maybe not ever. And then his phone buzzed. A notification. He hesitated before looking at the screen. The message was from an unknown number. No name, no contact. Just 2 words. You stayed too long.